So he says what? V'hem ledamam ye'erovu yitzmenu lenafshotam ken orchot kol botzei botza et nefesh be'alav yirach. As we said, the Yetzer Hara comes and gives us those candies, those rewards to trap us. And what happens ultimately is that he says kol nefesh be'alav yirach. But it's self-destructive. When a person goes after his Yetzer Hara, this is something that really, it's like, Sa'ir Azazel. Right? When you have, we just read in the parasha, it talks about Yom Kippur, you had the Shnei Seirim, Sa'ir Hashem and Sa'ir Azazel. These two Seirim, the one that would be La Hashem, on Yom Kippur, they would do this Hagrala. Right, they would do lottery to see which one of these two goats, one of them would be for Hashem, and the other one La Azazel. So as Rav Hirsch explains, the one that was La Hashem, they would shecht it, they would slaughter it in Bet HaMikdash. Meanwhile, the other one is alive and well and grazing all over, right? But what would be the end of the other one, Sa'ir Azazel? In the Azazel, in the desert, it would be torn into pieces. They would push it from on top of a mountain. They would push it down, and it would just tear into pieces. So, and this had a shocking effect on everybody. That these are the two lifestyles. Rav Hirsch says, there's a person that submits himself to Hakadosh Baruch Hu. This is like Sa'ir Hashem, that you shecht it in Bet HaMikdash. Meanwhile, the other one, the Sa'ir Azazel, is having it good. But ultimately, it's destruction. This is exactly what, right, Shlomo Melech is telling us. Ken orchot kol botzei botza et nefesh be'alav yikach. That person that came and fell into the trap of Yetzer Hara and fell for the candies, for the rewards that the Yetzer Hara gives him, ultimately what's going to happen? Et nefesh be'alav yikach. These kind of, when a person goes after his Yetzer Hara, it's self-destructive. Gaon says, a lot of times, the Yetzer Hara tempts us to think that this is good for you. This is the right thing to do. Gaon says, for instance, anger. He says that, a person that gets angry, I've never heard a person say they get angry and it's not just unjustified. Everyone says, no, I'm not an angry person. They make me angry, and that's the normal response. So you see, my brother of Yosef, if somebody gets angry without having a reason, he's crazy. He's not a human being. Who would get angry without reason? Obviously, there are always things to make a person angry. But the Gaon says, the Yetzer Hara tells a person, this is the right response. That's how he sells. But you see, and we know that it's self-destructive. It's self-destructive, and we know, the Gemara tells us that really, and this is going to lead us to our our topic of Shalom Bayit, that the Gemara Masechet Sotah says that when anger enters a household, this is like you have worms in sesame seeds. Nothing is salvaged. Right? And if an apple has some worms in it, you could salvage something. But if you have sesame seeds, nothing is going to be left of it. That's what the Gemara says. The Gemara says a household that there is anger, temper is there, it's not going to last. Nothing is going to, That's why we know one of the major Shalom Bayit issues is temper. We're going to, Rav Wolbe is going to talk about it. Maybe not tonight, but this is in any the way the Torah views it. This is the deal breaker. Right? This is a deal breaker. I've dealt with a lot of Shalom Bayit issues. If a person is in denial and they are not willing to go for therapy, and if needed to be medicated, there is no way you could salvage this household. This is exactly what the Gemara says. Anyway, let's go back to where we left off last week. Last week, we learned that Gemara, Chachamim in Gemara tell us that this pasuk, Tov lagever ki yisa ol min urav. It's good for a man to carry a yoke when he is young. We saw that the Midrash Kohelet Rabbah says this yoke that the pasuk is talking about is what? It's all isha. It's the yoke of a wife. It's a yoke of a wife, and it's good for a person, I guess, to get married young and dumb, right? Urav, when they are young, it becomes more difficult. I mean, obviously, they have to be ready. Rav Wolbe himself, I heard one of his tapes. He said, when is it the right age to get married? He says, when a young person feels that he's ready, right, go with it, right? He says, there's no set age. He says, some people could be ready in their early 20s. Some people need some more time. But you see, a person has, so this is the ne'urav, that, as young as possible, but you have to be ready for it. You have to be mature enough and to feel that you're ready. So it says that, the Torah, Chachamim, consider marriage a yoke. Right? I asked some of our friends to Google some yokes, some pictures, how it looks like. So one of them brought, you see, as I got sangi would as well after to have. Some of us, I think, the yoke is too heavy for us. But it's good to see how imposing that is. When you have the yoke, it keeps you in line. And it's a constant thing. It's a constant thing. It's not like you don't take the yoke off for a minute. It's 24/7. Right? So let's see what are some of these yokes that we need to deal with it. Right? Chazon Ish says you should know. It has to do, you have to know the psychology of women. If a man doesn't know the psychology of a woman, there is no way he's going to have Shalom Bayit. And the first and foremost thing to remember is the major difference between men and women. If you have any complaints, talk to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, right? The Torah says, "Beferush e'eselo ezer kenegdo." Kenegdo means opposite him. Everything is opposite, right? A man and a woman. That's what If anybody has any complaints, the address is to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Men and women are totally different in every sense. It doesn't make any sense. But that's a fact, right? They are different. Chazon Ish says you have to know, and it's not symmetric. The needs, when you're talking about this yoke on a husband's right neck, we have to realize that it's not symmetric. It's not the needs that a man has and a woman has. They're so different. Shamayim va'aretz, right? Chazon Ish says, and you could take, if you have any comments, please, if you want to interject, you're free, but you should know that, Baruch Hashem, last week so far we had 62 at least people that went on the internet on YouTube to watch the thing, to watch on YouTube. Anyway, Chazon Ish says the following, you should know. To men, it seems very strange. Men have a hard time contemplating this, but the Chazon Ish says, Teva Shela, he says the Teva, the nature of a woman is very different than men. He says, Teva Shela, Lehit'aneg al china be'einav. He says, a woman, believe it or not, she wants to know that her husband loves her, right? And she's charmful in his eyes. This is, he says, the most important thing that a woman has. She wants to know, and she needs a lot of reminders for that. that her husband loves her. Right? Once I heard Rabbi Bess said, maybe you should text message to your wife, honey, I love you, and this is true till I tell you otherwise. That you don't need every day. It doesn't work though. It doesn't work like that.
With the English to say that.
So he says, that's right. Oh, that was beautiful. The mother is found here. Daddy, Shuna.
No.
Honey, I love. It was beautiful. It was some time ago. Anyway, so he says what? Teva shela lehitnaheg al china be'enav ve'elav eineha nesuot. A woman needs, right, simat lev. She needs constant attention from her husband. And unfortunately, if some men do not give that attention to their wives, they're going to go for it somewhere else. I don't know, it doesn't have to be extremes, right? He says, simat lev temidit, constantly. Loveshet simla, if she wears something, she wants to hear a comment from her husband. It's nice, it's beautiful, whatever, right? She covers her hair like, with the tichel, whatever. And he says some husbands are totally oblivious. Some husbands are clueless. They don't realize what kind of need the women have. Right? They're totally clueless. ואם אינו רואה כלל, הנה פרעי כסים ותיר רושני, שזה שום דבר תומסת. So you see, if he's clueless and he doesn't respond, right? Whether what she's wearing, etc., he likes it, or to comment about it. I like that. The other one, to notice. Basically, it's simat lev. She's going to be disappointed, and you're going to see the results. Now you see, that's why you see in Pirkei Avot it says, "Bakesh shalom verodfeu." Right, Pirkei Avot. That you need to pursue peace. In other words, if you stand in one place, you're going to lose it. It's a farore. It needs constant maintenance. It needs constant maintenance. So therefore, if the husband does not, this is all part of this all. We were talking about this all that we learned last week. That the Navi says, Tov lagever ki yisa ol binurav, and we saw that the Midrash says it's talking about. Right? So he says, she's going to be disappointed. She cooks something, she needs acknowledgement. Right? Honey, it was tasty, that's from it was beautiful, it was nice, I liked it. Men don't need that. Men don't need that as much. But by ladies, Chazon Ish tell us this is part of that all that the Gemara talks about, that the Navi talks about. Right? So, if she cooks, right? So, Heve Omer, Hayesod Harishon B'nesiat Ol Isha Simat Lev Eleha. He says the first implication of this yoke is attention. Attention, it's so important. Every day, right, in the middle of the day, whatever it is, to touch base. It could be like, 2 minutes phone call. It could be maybe a text message, back and forth, etc. It's a constant need. It's mamash. It's a need. It's a need, right? You see, somebody was saying, the Torah tells us, a person is going, to do, the Gemara says, person is going, to bring Korban Pesach, or to go to do Brit Milah for his son, mitzvah. And then a met mitzvah, and then all of a sudden, he finds, God forbid, a dead person that there's nobody else to take care of this person. It's called met mitzvah. Met mitzvah, it's a met that doesn't have anybody to take care of it. So you put everything aside, and you do this, right? Because there's nobody else to do it. So you don't take the Korban Pesach. You don't go to the Brit Milah to your son. You leave everything aside, and this is what you're going to do, because there's nobody else to do this. And we have to realize a lot of the duties that the husband has towards his wife, as a consequence of this all, it's a met mitzvah. There's nobody else could do it. Nobody else could do it. This is, only the husband could do this. Right? So, הווה אומר, היסוד הראשון, בנשיאת עול אישה שימת לב אליה. Right? To pay attention. To, and it's I'm telling their husbands that you're totally oblivious. Totally. I heard a story that, there was somebody in Kollel. I don't know if I told you this or not. Maybe on the radio I said it, just on this radio, it was on this Sunday, I think. So this, he would not, he comes to Kollel, comes home, just opens the Gemara, learning, steiging, etc. So his wife went and complained to Maharil Diskin. Maharil Diskin was his Rabbi, And he said, this is what my husband does. So Maharil said, don't worry. So he invites this guy, he said, I want to talk to you in my study. He comes, Maharil Diskin, the Rav, the greatest Rav in Yerushalayim, called him in, he goes to his study, knocks on the door, so he said, Moshe student. He goes and sits there. Maharil Diskin ignores him totally. He's just learning, and this, and that. He's totally ignores him altogether. Like 10 minutes, 15 minutes, it's like he's not there. He's just learning. Maharil Diskin is just learning the sugya, After 15 minutes, right, his wife, Maharil Diskin's wife, comes to the study. So the husband asks his wife, he says, okay, היום הלכת לקניות? Did you go shopping? She says, yes. מה היה המחיר של המלפפונים? What was the price, for cucumbers? Oh, this much, it went up, it went down. What did you buy? Tomatoes, this, that. What else did you buy? For 10 minutes. He's talking to her, what things that, the Rosh Yeshiva, and after 10 minutes, he says, have a nice day. She leaves the room. So then he turns to the guy and says, get out. Okay, I'm done with you. You could leave. The guy says, I came out. I got my message. First of all, I learned how painful it's to be ignored. Right? I felt it. He gave me the best musar. First of all, I felt, how does it, And you see, there are a lot of us husbands, we give this silent treatment to our spouses at times, right? And this is, again, for a man, it doesn't do the same thing, but we have to realize. For a woman, this is like, it destroys them. It's very effective. If you want to really cause pain, the silent treatment is one of the best ways. Right? And I have seen couples, unfortunately, they are divorced, that they're living in the same house, and for a few months they would not talk to each other. Right? So the guy says, first of all, I got the lesson. How does it feel to be ignored and not to be acknowledged? Not to be acknowledged. And secondly, he's talking to his wife about, I'm learning Gemara and Tosafot and Rashi and this and that, and he's Maharil Diskin is talking to his wife about what? The price of the cucumbers in Shuk Machana Yehuda, whatever, this and that. It doesn't make a difference. This is her life. And you have to show that you care. This is part of this partnership. Right? Okay, this is all part of this oil. We just started. This oil is yoke. We have a lot to talk about it. So here, right, and as I told you, this book that I'm using, it's like a conversations between Rav Wolbe and the Chatanim. So the Chatan says, Kvod Rav, this is married life. I thought, the married life is, you have these lofty goals and Torah and this and that, and you come and you talk about, and a woman should be so idealistic that the only thing that matters in life, it's Torah and Hashkafa and Musar and this and that, and you're telling me that, I have to pay attention to all these nitty-gritties and He says, this is your mistake. He says, Kim'ad she'en gever masigu mevin zot. He says, a man cannot understand what, right, all these nitty-gritties of shopping and cooking and these kind of things, right? How could that fill a woman's life, that this is so important to her, right? All this, how she's that her husband should notice her. She doesn't have anything better in her life to that's all what matters. It's what that her husband, right, pays attention to her. So he says, man cannot understand that. כיצד אדם יכול למצוא סיפוק ומילוי בעניינים פעוטים כאלה? That in these nitty-gritties, this could fit a person's, this is their life. כאן אנו מגיעים לנקודה חשובה. He says, right, again, you have to realize how different, he says, he calls it, הבנת השוני המוחלט בין איש לאשתו. The absolute difference between men and women. It's a it's different psychologies. He says, right, בחיים המשותפים, he says, this is, so now he's going to go to details on the differences. And differences are so extreme, and I always say, if you have, you see, lucky are boys and girls that grow up in a family that you have brothers and sisters, right? If it's like all boys family, it makes it very difficult, and also all girls, because they don't know the opposite mentality, right? Thank you. So you see, this if a person has brothers and sisters, they could, they get to know the mentality of someone. But if they don't, right, it's much more difficult. See, me and my wife, I'm all boys, 6 brothers, my wife, 3 sisters. So it makes it very it's more difficult. But if a person has, I see with my kids, it's different, because they grew up with brothers and sisters, and if they have, especially if they have a good relationship, right? This really makes a big, because you are familiar with that mentality. So thank you. Chazon Ish says, being aware of the different psychologies, it's everything. And he says, matzavei ruach, moods. Ladies go through moods. And a lot of and men are not like that. Men are pretty much, stable. But you see, some of these moods are definitely related with the physiology, right? When they get their period, etc., we all know that. And aside from that, as we discussed last week, that when we say, why do we say Shelo Asani Isha every morning, it's so difficult to be a woman. The Gemara says that, and now psychology tells you, right? Pregnancy, giving birth, all these things take their toll. And it's physiology, but definitely it affects the psychology. So matzavei ruach, mood, it's a person, it's part of this all. The man has to take that in consideration. When a person gets married, I'm going to accept, right, this yoke on my neck, that my spouse goes through moods. And without berochashun keshidan enam neder, you just have to know that, to anticipate, and you don't want to add fuel to the fire, right? It's just being aware of that, and that's the whole shur is. It's not their fault. This is like Hakadosh Baruch Hu. Hashem created them, right? Different moods, hergelim hazarim lo, different habits that ladies have, that to men it's out of space, right? Ze pashut ve'eno miyuchad b'nei zug. He says, some of it, he says yeshiva boys in the dormitory, also they have roommates. You see, different people have different habits, but this is not comparable, right? Your roommates and your spouse, because it's men and women are totally different. So he says, for instance, דרך המחשבה של האישה שונה מזו של האיש. The way ladies think, it's different. It's the same, even the brains are not the same, The brain of a man and a woman, the structure is different. And because of that, דרך המחשבה של האישה, the way that, you want to go somewhere, this and that, a lot of times they're very overcautious, you're this, that. The way they think, it's different, right? Nashim am acher. I told you. This Dr. John Gray's book, the Talmud says it in the Masechet Shabbat in one sentence. It says, ladies are from different planets. Am acher. Right? דרך המחשבה של האישה שונה מזו של האיש. אופן תגובתה שונה לגמרי. The way they react to situations, it's very, very different. And you see, a husband cannot, right? There was this thing, I don't know what to do, some kind of, I've heard the music of it. There was some musical, like, this, what was the name of that? It was a movie, I didn't see it, but I heard the thing that was saying, like, why can't women be like men? Some British, anybody knows that? Why can't women be... فکرم فارسیش رام کردن سر زن سرکش بود. نمیدونم. I didn't see the movie, but I heard the singing in English. کی بود؟ نمیدونم کی بازی میکرد. I don't know. Because طرف میگه some royal noble British man brings some girl and gets married to her, some stranger, and they have constant fights. And he says, I cannot understand why women cannot be like men. They are different. They think differently. They react differently. And you cannot expect them to change. You cannot expect a woman to change and to react and to think like men. Get used to the idea. So... right? So you see, and you cannot say, why do you have to react? No, you're overcautious. But that's the way she is. Right? Why can't you know? Or time, for instance. Like it's known. Ladies, that's why it says like the Chachamim say, Nashim, that mitzvot hazman grama, ladies are exempted from it. Any time kind of mitzvah that it's any positive commandment that is time-bound, HaKadosh Baruch Hu exempted the ladies. Because they cannot work with, like, vaqt tefillin migzare, vaqt im migzare, right? So, and he says, ככל אשר ינסה לשכנע אותה לקבל הלך מחשבו שלו, as much as a husband would want to try to convince her to think the way he thinks about things, situations, ולהודות, right, and to come and say that his reactions are more logical, he's not going to be successful. Don't waste your time. Just get used to it. Right? You see, I think Sunday night was this Rav Lasri, I think he spoke in Hebrew somewhere, that the topic was, what was the topic? Lama ha'isha tamid tzodeket. Why a woman is always right. Right? You cannot, and you see, you have to realize, you cannot argue. You cannot argue, because how could you argue when the trends of thoughts are totally different? You cannot, arguments don't, to argue. Right? That's why there is a Hebrew saying that says, Et hakochavim lo sofrim, et hayam lo chorshim, it rhymes in Hebrew. The same way you do not count the stars, and you don't plow the ocean, you do not argue with a woman either. Because arguing, you could have two people learning Gemara together, you could argue, no, this is not the pshat, this is the pshat. Because they are thinking the same way. Right? But here it's futile, don't waste your time. You cannot arguing, dardia dava nemikone. Nothing, right? You have to see. You see, you have to realize You see, Mekubalim say, believe it or not, Mekubalim say that man is Rachamim, woman is Din.
Deep?
Judgment.
Yeah.
Judgment. Men are Rachamim. And you see, the man has to run the house because he's Rachamim. And the woman has to, even though, your question, even though there is a yoke, but the horse is pulling the buggy, right? This makes the position of a man very, very difficult. He is Rachamim, she is Din. Women are hard, right? The Gemara says it goes back to the raw material, what they were made of from, right? The stuff they're made from, right? HaKadosh Baruch Hu made Adam HaRishon from dust. خاکیان مردا خاک یه خدا آبم بریزه روش که دیگه اصلا گله شل میشه دیگه. Women are made from bones. Women, that's a Torah, right? The Gemara says, women are made from bones. Bone is very hard. Compare bone to dirt, right? This is, you have to see, this is the raw material. So it's bad news. What's the solution? Shlomo HaMelech, you're going to get in Mishnah, is going to say. It says, Lashon Raka Tishbor Garem. That's Shlomo HaMelech. Lashon Raka Zabun Narm Ostochuna Mishkane. Okay, go home. I don't have anything else to say. Lashon Raka Tishbor Garem. Lashon Raka, the Lashon Raka, a soft tongue, Shlomo HaMelech says, could break that bone, could shape that bone. You just have to know how to talk to a woman.
I love it. It's more than that.
It's not. It doesn't mean always to agree. You see, you have to know exactly. I'm telling you, this is it. This, you can, they're different. This is it. This is bones. This is dirt, right? And it's hard, but lashon. It all has to do with lashon raka. How you talk to your wife. And you see, that's why I'm saying in most of Shalom Bayit problems, it's not that it's the husband's fault. It's not. I think most of the Shalom Bayit problems is the women's fault, right? But the point is, the man, he is in the driver's seat. It's in his hands to resolve it. Lashon Raka Tishbor Garem. Men and women are different. Don't argue. Arguing that doesn't help anything, right? Because argument, it's like you could be with a friend in business, you could argue, right? Because it's the same lingo, it's the same thinking, the same process. Here it's different, so it doesn't make any sense. With arguing, you are not going to convince your spouse to come your way. You see, it's basically. A lot of times I say it on the chuppah, right? It says, one pasuk in Tehillim, beautiful pasuk. It says, Moshiv Yechidim Baita. Maybe last week we spoke about it, I don't remember. I'm going to repeat a lot of things, it's good. It says, in Tehillim, it says, this is Mizmor of Shavuot, we're going to be, B'ezrat Hashem, next week reading it. It says, Moshiv Yechidim Baita. What does it mean? Moshiv Yechidim Baita. Moshiv means, it brings them to sit. Two different individuals in one house. What does it mean? We believe Ma'ashem Isha Le'ish. We believe, the Gemara says, from Torah, from Nevi'im, from Ktuvim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is Mezavek Zivugim. From Torah, from Nevi'im, from Ktuvim. Psukim. Ma'ashem Le'ish. If a Jewish boy and a girl, their name is written in the Ktubah, right, together, kosher Ktubah, 99.99% of the cases, they are each other's soulmate. This is it. Moshiv Yechidim Baita. Ma'ashem Ishalish. So this is the first half of the pasuk. And that realization is also very important. That realization is very important that it's not just us making decisions. HaKadosh Baruch Hu brings us together. That realization is very important. commitment. This is my mazal, right? My father always he seldom would call my mother her name. So, mazal, come here. Mazal. خیلی ایرانی mazal yani nozel, drips from up high up there. Right. This is first half of the pasuk. Then it says Moshir Yechedim Baitam. Then it says Motzi Asirim Bakosharot. All of a sudden David HaMelech leaves marriage, Moshir Yechedim Baitam, and talks about what? That HaKadosh Baruch Hu took Bnei Yisrael out of Mitzrayim in a kosher month. Motzi Asirim. Who are the Asirim? The captives, the Jewish nation. He took them out of Mitzrayim Bakosharot. Bakosharot is what? Bakosharot means in a kosher month in Nisan. Why is Nisan? That's when Hashem took us out of Mitzrayim. It's a kosher month because it's a compromise. Spring, right? Nisan is beginning of the spring. It's a compromise between winter and summer. David HaMelech is saying, you should know, Hashem brought you together, and the recipe for Shalom Bayit is compromise. Don't argue, compromise. You think one way, she thinks another way. Compromise, come conclusion, and move on. And Lashon Raka Tishbor Gareb. Know how to talk. Right? You remember he told us that we should learn from the rooster how the rooster convinces the خروس مرغ میگه چیکار میکنه میخواد هر روز که خروس میخواد وقتی خروس میخواد با مرغ باشه چیکار میکنه first بالشو میاره تا زمین چی بهش میگه عزیزم I'm gonna واسه مکسی میخرم فلان میکنم این کاری میکنم خلاصه کارشونه که میکنم بعدن تاجش و کاکلش رو رو خاک میمالونه چرا میگه کاکلش بیفته کسی که داشته باشه رو نکنه. This is also kind of is a compromise, I guess. Right? You have to know how to talk. The point is this, Lashon Raka Tishbor Gareb. Lashon Raka Tishbor Gareb. That's why I'm convinced. Why Rambam says what? Rambam says that the way that, thousands of years Jews were able to create such beautiful homes that was a subject of envy of other nations is very simple. Rambam says the husband is supposed to love his wife like himself and to respect her more than himself. And a woman should respect her husband yoter midai, because men have gava, kavod. How come he emphasizes kavod so much? What's the big deal? Because of this, since men and women are different, they think different, etc., how all these differences you need to negotiate to come to some kind of compromise in a civilized manner. Don't lose your temper. Always maintain the kavod. And kavod has three ramifications. The kavod. One is when it comes to spending money, that she comes first. She comes first. That's one thing of kavod. And then is the way you talk to your wife, right? The choice of words and voice. This is kavod. Why Rambam emphasizes that? Because Ezer Kenegdo, men and women are different. They need to negotiate in a respectful manner. A lot of times, temper kicks in, etc., etc. That's why the respect is so important. Because the differences are going to be there, granted. You have complaints, talk to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, right? So he says, Yesh tchunot v'hanhagot, some of reactions, and qualities that thought, the ways of thinking, that it's not just you're different. Sometimes Elohim gam margizot oto, that it angers the husband. Because it's sometimes the reactions are senseless, so it could cause anger of the husband. They're bothersome. For instance, they are invited to go to some, they make up to at a certain time. They're going to go to an event, simcha, whatever. בהגיע הזמן לצאת מהבית, היא עודה בעיצומה של ההכנה. They have made up like, okay, honey, what time are you going to leave? I said, no, she's in the middle, she has a long way to go. They're going to be late, right? So this, you have to realize this is part of, like, it could really, this kind of qualities, this kind of, women's psychology call it, that maybe time is an issue. It could cause anger, but be aware of it. This is part of the all on the yoke on our right, on us. יש לה פחדים משונים מחרקים וכדומה. We all know, ladies are scared of all kinds of insects, etc., etc. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. When was the last time that a cockroach ate somebody, right? Or even bit someone? Nothing. It doesn't make any sense. Right? I remember once I went to an office and in Manhattan, in Aguda office, and all the secretaries were on the desks. They had that's a rat or something in the office in Manhattan, right? It's old buildings. I mean, it doesn't make any sense. What, did a rat or did kill anybody? No. So he says, פחדים משונים מחרקים וכדומה. נקוט כלל בידך בדברים מרגיזים כאלה. Right? You see, these kind of things that cause you to get angry, this is exactly what we're talking about, the differences. It's differences. The reactions are different. The thought process, it's different. ההבדל המהותי, this is a fundamental difference between men and women. ודווקא כאשר שמים לב להם וסובלים אותם, אז when a person, this is part of, he says this all, when you say all isha, a yoke, this is what you're talking about. Being aware of those things that, whenever you see something that angers you in your wife's, the way of your wife's thinking or reacting, remember the all. This is part of the all. This is part of that yoke that we need to, we have to submit ourselves 24/7 to these lovely yokes. The yoke, you're going to have it. Make it golden, right? So, we have, right? So he says again, do not expect your wife to change. Do not expect your... Did we change at all? Do we change? Do we change? We don't. What you see is what you get. But then I'll talk to you. Right? Do not expect, be realistic. Do not expect changes. He says, כמעט ולא תיקנו מאומה בעצמנו. He's talking to Yeshiva, goes, how much did you fix it? You learn Musar? Did you change yourself? So you have to be accepting. Zehu ol isha. This is the yoke of a woman. Ha'isha im kol hazar lanu, with all these strange, right, things about ladies. Ve'im kol ha'margiz otanu, and whatever angers us. Tov la'gever, and this is good for us. Apparently this is our tikkun. Shad Gilgul Shadim was saying, who knows, right? טוב לגבר כי יישא עול מנעוריו, בסבלנות ובאורך רוח. You need a lot of סבלנות. הפדוצה לאבל יש סחת. סבלנות, patience. ולא יכעס ולא ידרוש ממנה להשתנות. He should not, right? You should not expect her to change. ועל כל פשעים תכסה אהבה. And all these deficiencies, love covers it all. That's it.